Sounds right.
All right, it is 7 PM on August 13th, 2024. We're gonna open regular board meeting. And please, yeah.
I have
Step
trustees,
on her first.
I do, trustees Chris Sample,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
Jen Christensen,
Here.
Bill Motifi,
Here.
Nathan Mons is absent, Patrick Yarlow,
Here.
President Rick Warner.
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onavini. Here. I Clerk Sandy Mons, I'm here, Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie,
Here.
Parks Lead Brody Cook,
Here.
and Attorney Mark Hiney.
Yes.
Please rise and say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All good? All right, on the consent agenda this evening, we have 5 items. Number 1, July 9th, 2024, regular board minutes. Item 2, bills payable dated August 13th, 2024, for a total of $151,996.83. Item 3, outside meeting pay for elected officials, total of $400. Item 4, resolution number 24-31, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a propane lock price agricultural commercial sales agreement for September 1, 2024 to April 30th, 2025 by and between Thompson Gas LLC and the Village of Davis Junction. Item 5, resolution number 24-32, a resolution authorizing the destruction of closed session tapes. This time, do any of the board members wish to remove any of those 5 items for further discussion? Not, I'll entertain the first motion.
I move to place agenda items 1 through 5 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as a consent agenda.
Jen makes a motion to place items 1 through 5 inclusively as a consent agenda. Chris seconds. Roll call, please.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John, Nathan's absent, Patrick,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion passes 702.
I move to adopt items 1 through 5 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code.
I'll second that. Jen makes a motion to adopt items 1 through 5 inclusively as consent agenda. John seconds. Roll call, please.
Bill,
No.
that terminates the end of the consent agenda.
It does.
No, I'm sorry. You already voted to,
Nope,
sorry, is this the roll call to put it on the consent agenda?
that was the first one. The second was to
Place
vote
pass,
on it.
adopt it.
No, the consent agenda substantively does not need to be unanimous. The decision to consider the items collectively as
That
consent
does.
agenda does have
Perfect.
unanimous.
Okay, so perfect.
Love it.
This only needs 4 yes votes.
John,
Yes.
Nathan's absent, Patrick,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
That motion
You got it,
passes
Claire?
at 703. That's something we learned new this evening.
thank you.
Move on to reports to the officers under me, utility bill drawing.
Sitting on my desk.
All right, we'll go back to that later.
Yep.
All right, item B, we don't need. I lied to you 2 weeks ago. I told you I'd have it figured out this week. I don't. Come on. All right. Quiet over there, Joe. Item C, discussion of possible resolution, approval of resolution number 24-34, a resolution regarding elected officials' compensation, village president, village trustees. You want to go into the details?
Do you want a motion and second first?
Yeah, we should do that.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2434, a resolution regarding elected official compensation, meaning the village president and village trustees.
Jen makes a motion to approve resolution number 24-34. Chris seconds. Oh, guts.
So this resolution essentially reduces the outside meeting compensation for the village president starting at the next election cycle. Right now, currently there's 30. We're asking it to be 15. Village presidents have nowhere historically ever used anywhere close to 15. We don't know how they got to 30, but for budgeting purposes, we still have to budget for 30. And so we're asking for that change so that we can reduce our budgeting by $1,500. And then the other changes that you'll see in the resolution are just moving us into compliance with our current actions, because right now our policy says that you guys will get paid on a monthly basis and you guys currently get paid weekly. And then it also has some clarifying language in there as to what meetings you get paid for, because there's some concerns there, but that's essentially the guts of the resolution.
But you're just changing it to weekly.
And we're
What-
changing the pay to
What's-
weekly.
What's the concern on the language for the meetings?
It's $50 per committee meeting.
That's not what it's always been.
That's what the language has always been. However, the pay has been for committee, special, admin,
Yeah.
regular.
Additional.
So that's not the way it reads. That's not the way that it currently
States
could be
reads.
implied.
Okay,
And so we're just clarifying it.
we
to
combine
that.
them anyway, so to me, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, so it's just changing the language of committee to
fine.
be committee, admin, regular.
Is 50 meetings enough for you? Because I mean, you're the
Yeah.
person that's gonna be affected.
I don't think he's ever been over 10.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
12 now.
It'll be for the next president.
It'll be,
But if-
we're more
if
than
you
hundred and eighty
you
days
don't
out.
use them, You don't use. them.
We're more than 180 days
Right.
out, so it will affect the next people
All
coming.
right,
The people that were elected 2 years ago, this won't affect until they're elected.
There's no changes to
So,
the
yeah.
trustees that is of substantive meaning. The changes for the trustees are really just to clarify what's already in
Effectively reduce my
existence.
pay.
The substance of it is reducing your pay.
is that legal then?
What?
I thought you couldn't do that.
Do
Um,
what?
Is that for I thought, is that for 2 years down the line then? Because I thought we couldn't change.
You're okay, because we're over 180 days in advance, and it only kicks in upon the
At the
completion of a
next
term.
election, so,
Correct.
so it's not gonna do anything for 2 years, that's the way. I
Well,
understand it.
No,
No,
No, no,
it'll
no.
affect this next election, because we're more than 180
No.
days out.
Oh,
It'll
so-
affect anyone
I'm
whose
sorry.
terms are on.
We'll
Right.
start in May.
Right, but it's not gonna affect this term for you.
No.
no, it'll start in May of
I
next
don't-
year.
I don't-
Whoever the
I don't
village
think I'm even
president,
gonna attend this year.
yeah,
Yeah,
village
that's all right.
president in
I
May
don't
of
think
next
so
year will
to me.
come into
All right,
compliance then.
I'm clear on that, thanks.
Yep.
It really won't matter one way or the other, and it doesn't affect the trustees at all, so.
Right, I'm good with it.
This time.
Any further discussion?
What?
I said, not this time.
Yeah, that's right.
Just wait, you're next.
Yeah.
All right, roll call please.
John,
Yes.
Nathan is absent, Patrick,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill.
No,
Motion passes 707. All right. Brenda?
You have the July treasurer's report. If you have any questions, let me know. And then I have Lindsay here from Sickich to present our audit.
I did turn the microphone on for you. You won't be able to hear yourself in the speaker, but I promise you it's recording.
Great.
And while Lindsay does
Thank you.
that, I'm gonna go get the.
On behalf of Stickett, thank you to the village president and board for inviting us to present the report of results from the audit of the village for the year ended April 30th, 2024. Issued several different reports as a result of our audit. The focus this evening will be on your annual financial report. If you have a PDF in front of you, on the page numbers to follow along. Go ahead and start. So flipping in the annual financial report, I'm going to start on your independent auditor's report. This is page number 1. This is on Sticket's letterhead. So in order for us to give an opinion on the financial statements, we must follow 2 sets of standards. Auditing standards come from the AICPA, and those standards tell us what type of procedures we must perform when conducting our audit. And then the second set of standards comes from GASB, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. GASB sets the rules for financial statement presentation for local governments such as the village. Second paragraph down there on page number 1 is your opinion. So we have issued a clean, unmodified opinion. This means that the financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with the modified half basis of accounting and are free from material statement. This is the highest level of opinion we can provide. So congratulations to the village on receipt of that unmodified opinion. From there, I'm going to flip to page number 4. This is your statement of net position. This is a high-level consolidated reporting of your fund types, so not generally used in your operations. However, this presentation, the statement of that position is required to receive that unmodified opinion. It has 2 columns here. You have your governmental activities, so these are your tax-supported funds, and then you have your business-type activities, which are funds that are supported by user fees. Page number 7 is your balance sheet for your governmental funds. So 3 columns there, you have your general, motor fuel tax, and TIP funds. Focus here is generally on your fund balance. So fund balance of your general fund was 7.5 million at April 30th, 2024. Of this, 3.6 million is unassigned. When comparing your unassigned fund balance to your annual operating expenditures, that's kind of a good way to look at the health of your fund, and you've got about a little over a year's worth of reserves there, when compared to your unassigned fund balance. You also have some assigned fund balance there of 1.3 million. This was budgeted to be spent in fiscal year 25, so it's shown as assigned fund balance in your fiscal year 24 reports. A couple other highlights. So your motor fuel tax had fund balance of 153,000, and then your TIF fund had a deficit of 1.3. Next page I'll cover is page number 9. This is your income statement for those governmental funds. Focus here would be the net change in fund balance, so that's the third line up from the bottom there. General fund had an increase in fund balance of 490,000. Motor fuel tax had a drawdown of fund balance of 47,000, and the TIF also had a slight drawdown of fund balance of 2,000. A few things to highlight here for your general fund, just a reminder, so the general fund includes your general fund as well as your landfill is consolidated into that general fund for financial reporting purposes. So that sub fund, the landfill sub fund, had net income of about 1.7 million. So then your general fund sub fund would have had a drawdown of about 1.2 million. Some planned spending there in the general fund related to some significant capital projects this year. Page number 11 is your statement of net position for your proprietary funds. These are your water, sewer, and garbage funds. Bottom line there shows your total net position. So total net position of 7.7 million at April 30th, 2024. Your net investment of capital assets, that's the third line up from the bottom, was 8.6 million. So of your net position, 8.6 million was what you own in capital assets. And then you had an unrestricted deficit of $850,000. As you know, from previous years, that unrestricted deficit has been there each year and just kind of shows how the general fund does kind of supplement those operations there of your water, sewer, and garbage funds.
We did just raise that rate
What was that?
this month. That rate went up.
Oh, okay, so you might be seeing some changes
Hopefully it'll look
next
much better next year. For those people that are asking, that's why.
year. Exactly, that's why we continue to show and not just transfer funds in, but rather show the true operational of those funds. Page number 12 is your income statement for those proprietary funds. So third line up from the bottom, you'll see your change in that position. So water had a drawdown in that position of 220,000. Sewer had a drawdown of 467,000, and garbage was about even, had a drawdown of about $1,000. That concludes my comments on the financial statements. Just wanted to highlight a couple other items of the reports that we issued. We also issued your TIF compliance report. I'm not going to cover much of that other than just saying that we had a clean opinion on your TIF compliance, that no non-compliance noted during that audit. And then would also just like to highlight in the management letter, as you recall from previous years, we report a material weakness in internal control related to segregation of duties at the village. Just a reminder here, not uncommon for a village of your size, but we do continue to report this, first of all, just because we're required to report this to you. But second, the village board, review and approval process over your financial statements kind of acts as a layer of internal control. So I always just like to bring this up on a annual basis, just as a reminder of the village's board's involvement in the internal control structure. But overall, we received all the information we needed to complete the audit in a timely manner. Brenda and Sandy are always professional and great to work with. That's what we need when we need it. So appreciate your help, and which is like the board knows that dedicate a lot of time to audit, and we appreciate that. And happy to answer questions.
Yeah, I have one question for you. The writing off of interfund loans or whatever, is that something we can do easily?
I would probably like to be a board resolution. You could write those off if that was the thing.
Well, to me, it would seem to make it cleaner and clearer when you do future audits for the past.
I think it kind of just depends, like, as I said, we haven't shown the write-off of those interfund loans in the past, to just get a true picture of you know, the actual balances that are out there. If you had a, you know, wrote off the interfund loan, you'd show a transference, you'd no longer be seeing those deficit balances, so just you kind of be seeing a different picture of those financials if you were to write that off. Or, you know, approve a transfer to eliminate the loans.
All right. I gotta think about that.
Those are all anybody has any questions, so thank you.
All right.
Brenda knows how to do
I do.
it. Thumbs up, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was very good. Moving further, Brenda?
Oh, no, that's it.
Eddie?
Did you want to circle back?
Oh, sure. Mark?
Yeah,
Here tonight, on our water bill winner?
I do.
Put that person back in there. We raise the rates, we'll at least give somebody a discount.
It'll be Joe Smith.
Address only.
Okay. 6839 North Junction Road. Congratulations.
That wasn't under Sam's.
It's the management or the government.
It was not.
Thank you, Fergie.
You are welcome, John.
Now, maybe somebody was still in there.
The controller.
That was easy.
All right, now back to me.
Yes.
All right, first thing on there is the FOIA report. Any questions? All right, yep. And then the next thing on there is an ordinance amending the duties of the village clerk. I cannot make motions. If somebody wants to make a motion in a second, then I can discuss kind of what's going on.
Make a motion on ordinance number 24-07 and ordinance amending the duties of the village clerk.
Second,
John makes a motion to approve ordinance number 24-07. Jen seconds. Discussion.
So when we removed the collector position and we had kind of combined some of those duties into the clerk's role, because I was the full-time person here. Now that Brenda is here full-time, some of the duties that are within the clerk's job description are no longer relevant. I no longer keep the accounts showing the monies received on behalf of the village on the daily basis. That used to be my responsibility. Now that Brenda's here full-time, it's Brenda's responsibility. So this is kind of step one of a two-part process. This is just cleaning up my job description. The next one you're gonna see at the recommendation of our village attorney is gonna be Brenda's job description or Brenda's duties listed in our ordinances.
Do you have is that what your job description is?
It is, so I said, use the word job description. I realized that was a poor choice of words. No, so my job description is in our employee handbook. This is what our ordinances state is my legal responsibility.
And those should be Brenda's.
Yeah, and
No, there's no doubt about
Yeah,
those. Our
that makes
treasurer
sense.
duties.
yeah, that made sense
Absolutely.
when the clerk was either the clerk collector or the clerk was the full-time employee here. But now that we have two full-time employees, these aren't necessarily duties that need to remain mine. So
Treasurer should take care.
I was cleaning up the clerk and then you'll see Brenda's here in a few weeks.
I just wondered I read that and it doesn't look like there's a lot of job
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, no, my full job description's over in the employee handbook. Yeah, and some of these things are, I will say, some of these things are holdovers from when they went from a elected clerk to an appointed clerk as well.
Right, I'm sure there's statutes that say what an elected clerk has to do, right?
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
No, there absolutely is.
there are, it's surprisingly nebulous, so there is much more statutory
Treasurer.
direction about the treasurer than
Yeah.
there is about the
Yeah.
clerk.
I will say that so my job description, like in our employee handbook, has me as the FOIA and OMA officer. That is not a statutory requirement of a
Right.
clerk. So that's why I said this isn't quite that, but this appears to be I'm sure Rick can tell you that there were problems back in the day. And so they had written these inside the ordinances to help create some strict guidelines for the clerk at that time to follow.
Mark,
We'll leave it at that.
can I ask a question? Just a general question. You know, most employers, and being that they're both appointed, and others' duties as assigned clause is certainly more than fair, correct? For either one of
Yes.
those job descriptions.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I believe we actually have that in our, that is. in
It's a
our-
caveat for every.
It is.
other than there.
It's all our job.
Yeah,
descriptions
yeah,
say that.
every
Right.
single job description in the village
Yeah,
says that,
exactly.
appointed or hired.
But it's also probably a smaller percentage, it's not supposed to be the bulk of it.
Yeah.
No, but
How do you prove that?
Most jobs have a percentages written into.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
And a lot-
we don't
a lot-
have
A lot of
that.
times we use that as
It's still not.
take on this until we
Right.
see what it's going to do.
Other
and move
duties
it
aren't
into where it needs
supposed to be the maximum, the most of your work.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. All right.
Any further discussion? Roll call please.
Nathan's absent. Patrick,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
No,
John.
Yes.
Motion passes 7:20.
You want just a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion for resolution number 24-36, a resolution adopting an amended social media policy.
Second.
Tom makes a motion to approve resolution number 24-36. Then seconds, discussions. Yeah.
So this one is, I'm sure some of you might have seen if you're hip to the Instagram, but Erica has asked, our administrative assistant Erica had asked if we could open an Instagram, as that is a form of communication for the younger generation. I didn't see an issue with it, so she has done so with some restrictions on it for right now. And so this is just amending our social media policy to allow for potential comments on that site for right now. So if you'll notice on Instagram, our comments are off because we don't have a social media policy for it.
Yeah, I thought we did that because you'd have to track all those in the past.
So we have a company that we pay called Archive Social that tracks all of those, and Instagram falls underneath their umbrella as well. And so they do track them. The problem is once you turn comments on, you can't turn them off. So when she opened our Instagram account, she left them off for now. We're just gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. But she was very happy with the response we've had to having the Instagram so far. And because Instagram is owned by Meta, which is Facebook, she can control both of them from the same business management site. So it's gone pretty well, but this is just amending our social media policy for that.
Yeah.
It is long, Lauren, right?
Any
I
further
do have to
discussion?
say that the little things on the sign are hilarious.
Yeah,
Jokes.
yeah, Erica had
I
asked
usually
about
like
doing.
read it in your driveway and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I like say it out loud and then I start laughing.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was something misprinted.
there was that,
There
somebody
was that,
spelled
dude.
junction wrong.
Junction
Oh.
ones, yeah.
Yeah,
It happens.
it does.
It's funny, but
That's
it's
the only thing I noticed.
That was one
It
of the-
does. So Erica had noticed that during the summer months right now, we're in a lull of things to put on the sign, and we're between events. We don't have a whole lot going on. So she'd asked it for permission to put little jokes up there, and I said, absolutely.
Oh my God, I think the whole David thing was like a full long drive explanation in our vehicle. I was like, do you want me to spell it, like write it on a piece?
Yeah.
Like the IDOT sign you see on the highway.
Any discussion pertinent to the social media? Roll call please.
Patrick,
Yes,
Chris,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
no,
John.
Yes.
Nathan's
Passes
absent.
7:23.
The last one I'll talk about first. So in the board packet, you guys will see the bid tabulations from yesterday's bid opening for the,
She's doing this for Nathan, by the way.
I didn't get a chance to see
Yeah.
that, and I didn't have a chance to look it up.
Mine crashed every time I clicked down.
I just want to see what it says.
well,
So just
so I'm gonna give you the summary here. The engineer's estimate was 1.2 million, and the cheapest one that came in was 1.6. So, a few things that we think occurred one of the things that we think occurred is because we are bidding it at the end of the season again. And we have found historically that bidding at the end of the season does not lead us to good pricing. This project is under an OZED grant and does have a deadline. We have asked for an extension of the deadline to complete the project. If we receive that grant extension deadline, then my recommendation, my personal recommendation would be that we rebid it again in the January timeframe. When we are historically known to receive more bids and better bids.
What is bid with option? Was it bid with option?
Yes,
There's one over there.
yeah, so down on the bottom, I believe is the alternate, but yeah, this is the one where they broke it down by the 12 different sections. Remember you had said it was like, you had noticed that it had been, we were bidding, so there were 12 different areas or projects that they were bidding on as for one given project.
You said we had 9 packets, only more than 3 bids.
Yeah, we only had 9 packets pulled. So
We're better off doing it in the spring, get better pricing.
however, we can't do any. Yeah, we can't do anything until we find out about the OSLED grant extension. I did talk to the engineers and they said if we kick this over 2 weeks, we're still okay because we have 60 days to do something with those bids. And so maybe during that time frame, we might be able to receive hopefully we'll be granted the extension of the project timeframe for the grant, and then we can rebid or discuss rebidding at that point.
Yeah, at the end of the season, you never get a good.
No, and I did look up, because we ended up bidding the original park project at the end of the first season, or phase 1 at the end of the season. And we ended up with, I think, 3 or 4 bids, and they were 25% over the engineer's estimate. And then we rebidded with a bid opening at the beginning of February, and we ended up with 10 bidders and coming in under bid. So, or under engineer's estimate. So
This is everybody's busy, and if you want it done, it's gonna cost you.
yeah, and so it really just is gonna depend on whether or not we hit that grant extension. So if everybody's okay with it, my recommendation, and I'll let Brody and Fergie confirm, would be to hold this over for 2 weeks.
Did Matt or anybody say how long they thought it would take to know if we could get an extension?
We had asked and we're hopeful that we would have notice by today. So they did request it originally via email and said, hey, can we request this? They came back and said, yes, please just submit this paperwork. We got the paperwork submitted right away. So now we're just waiting to hear from them. And that was about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
so.
it doesn't surprise me.
I
Yeah.
spoke with Matt last night, and he's gonna look into a couple other things with it too.
Yeah. So that's the thought process on it. Is everybody okay?
I wanna wait. I don't wanna spend.
Yeah, it worked out better last time to wait.
Yeah, but here's where.
You gotta remember, this is all based on the
Yeah,
extension.
so here's the thing,
Right,
if we don't get an extension, this project needs to be completed by beginning of next year,
We might not have.
or we lose the grant.
Right.
Well, I don't know, can you cut stuff if you have to?
So Aaron did talk about it. Matt would probably be better to talk about it than I at the meeting in 2 weeks, but you can cut up to a certain percentage without losing the bid. But you have to be careful because then you have to do these other things. So he'd be better to talk about it than I, but it might be a moot point if we can get that extension.
Yes, that's the first thing we should try.
Okay, so then if everybody's okay, we'll just wait 2 weeks.
So,
We never made a motion on this, so. we
Nope.
don't need
Nope.
to.
Nope.
All right.
and then Chris, in the event that we can't get an extension, you'll have some sort of opinion on whether we could or could not continue with that project?
I would say it depends on what you can, I don't wanna spend an extra $400,000.
I don't know if we could afford to spend it.
That would be $1 million of our own money alone.
I want to do it, but I mean.
I think we could afford it, it's just whether or not you wanna eat into your reserves that far. And that's a decision that the whole board would have to make. I personally don't want to, I would rather rebid it and try to get a better price. I can guarantee, with all the time I spent with streets, is that if you don't bid early, you get crappier prices.
Yeah.
Because people have already got jobs, and then they're trying to fit you in and they just bid it up, they don't want to got one.
Yeah.
So this time of year is probably the worst unless somebody just has nothing to do.
Yeah.
And apparently that's not the case because these are all pretty high.
They are. So, I'll just put it on the agenda again in 2 weeks.
And truthfully, usually when the engineer puts an estimate out there, he's making it higher than what he really thinks it is.
Yeah.
because he's putting a little cushion.
The only one that he had to take a stab in the dark about was the outdoor basketball court rehabilitation, and he actually came in over on that particular line item. That's the only one that the engineer was unable to determine the final ceiling room price.
But waiting as long as we can't hurt us.
Should have done
Yeah.
that right in the first.
It could benefit us greatly.
And nobody's perfect.
That came out
Um,
pretty bad.
Well, John, we have put steps in place to ensure that doesn't happen again. All right, that's all I had.
All right, Mark?
Yeah, just a quick item. This, I don't think I've seen you guys since this happened, so it may have been discussed previously, but when the state budget was passed this year, there were a couple of changes that would be relevant to you guys from a tax perspective. One that will be and one that could be if you choose it to be. first, more specifically, the grocery tax is going to, the statewide grocery tax is gonna disappear at the end of next year. It sunsets on January 1 of 2026. I have to confess, I'm not super well versed on whether that has any local impact. If it does, or to the extent that it does, the state, at the same time, it pulled its state imposed 1% tax on grocery items. It gave local communities the right to be the bad guy and reinsert it. If you decide to do that, you've got until about 14 months. So the end of September of next year would be the time to do something to not see any interruption in that grocery revenue. The other piece, which is a more general, historically, you guys have always had the right to impose up to a 1% local sales tax in 0.25% increments, but you have had to get a referendum approval, which is not going to happen. The state has liberalized that, and effective now, you guys, without going to the voters, without going to referendum, can impose up to a 1% local tax. It's collected by the Department of Revenue. This is not just on grocery items, this is just on any sale of any goods. Up to 1% could be tacked on. You could do it at 0.25%, you can do it at 0.5%, 0.75%, or 1%. And that right exists right now. It's a new right that you have, and so that might be food for thought or not, but.
Mark, so you're,
That include internet sales, I take it.
That's what you expect.
Yes, yeah, it's a 1% sale on a 1% tax on the sale of goods, and that would be where the goods are received, I believe. Right?
That's
Or is that-
that's use tax.
Oh.
that we get people to receive it.
Hmm,
No,
No?
sales tax on internet purchases. It, like, if you go to
Oh,
Amazon,
yeah, I
yeah,
know.
It'll go based on the recipient's
and
location.
they'll do it by your zip code.
Mhm.
So you would get the tax off of that too. I don't know what kind of.
I just thought Dollar General.
And
did.
then if you wanna clarify something, Mark, just so that everybody's aware, that while they did all this lovely things for us to allow us to impose these taxes, they're still going to collect them for us and then charge us a fee for collecting them for us.
That's right. You guys don't have to self-administer. The Department of Revenue does it for you. And I think take is it 2%?
Yeah, they take a fee, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, so they're still making money.
Of your overall sales collections, because
Yeah.
1% and 1% would be nothing.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
1% of the net
Total.
road proceeds. Yeah.
I think IML mentioned that at one point, and I was like, well, this is a sneaky way for the state to make more money.
Yeah, right. So in other words, so the state tax on general goods is the state imposes 6.25% tax. And then, depending where you are, sometimes the county will layer on more, or a local transit authority or local home rule. Now you guys have the ability to layer on up to 1%. So the consumers already feel 6.25% with, if nothing else happens, you can make that go to 7.
Mark, I don't want to see our residents getting more taxes put on them. I don't care what it is. I know you said we can go up to 1%, right?
You can, yes, you can impose that.
You can do 0 too.
I don't want any new tax at all.
Nobody was,
This is-
nobody was saying anything.
Yeah, you can, 1% of
Yeah.
this particular non-home.
Nobody was, he was just letting us know what the changes in the law were.
City Northwest likes.
It is something to think about,
Right.
It doesn't,
just saying.
that doesn't pertain to any of this phone tax, stuff like that we're doing. Is that from the state or from Davis Junction? Because we've got something in there that we collect some taxes from,
The telecommunications tax,
Yeah.
and actually, Bill, if you take a look at that on your revenue line items, you'll actually notice that that's historically gone down over the years, and they're actually anticipating that to hit almost a 0 at some point as everybody goes to streaming services, because that telecommunications tax is not on your streaming services, it's actually only on your traditional phone services. So as we continue to get away from home phones and home internet and home whatever else, home phones and there's one other item. They're anticipating that to continue to decrease significantly over the years. But if you go back and look when you first became a board member, Bill, if you look at the telecommunications tax back then versus now, you'll notice it's gone down.
Yeah.
Trustee, there are many different types of taxes. When I say the sales tax, I'm using, it's technically the non-home rule occupation tax. It's what people colloquially call the sales tax. So if you go to a store and buy a toy for a grandchild or whatever, the village has a right now to impose up to a 1% extra tax on that over and above what already exists. And no, you don't have to. I just was making you aware that that's something that you can do without going to referendum first, which used to be the case.
Well,
So right now, the only tax people pay on communications is their phone on the wall. And that's supposed to
So
go by.
nothing I'm saying has anything to do with the telecommunications tax.
Yeah.
It's just the sales tax and the purchase of goods and of specific items.
Is there a difference in the language when they say sales tax or use tax? What's the difference on that one?
Yes, so there are certain things that are titled and registered in certain places, and that is usually what the use tax pertains. So if I go to cross the border to purchase a vehicle, I will pay a use tax here for where it's garaged. This sales tax, I was trying to keep it simple, they also give you the right to impose up to 1% on services. So sometimes in a community, you'll have things like a barber shop. It's generally not selling anything. But the right to impose a tax on goods also applies the right to impose up to 1% tax on services in this case.
So we don't really have to worry about that servicing at all, because we're not taxing cars and stuff like that.
IML did put something out that I did share on the grocery tax with Chris the other day. I forwarded it to you. So if anybody else would like to see that, just let me know and I'll forward it on.
it's just saying the same thing.
It is.
Yeah, basically speaking, the state's gonna quit collecting the grocery sales tax, which is just on food itself, not pop or anything else. You still pay the regular tax on that stuff. And
Isn't it
they're gonna give you the right, because that's taking money away from the cities or towns and villages. They're gonna give you the right to then put it to somebody.
It's not only like a 1%.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, 1% tax, which is probably why they're gonna allow you to do a 1% tax anyway. That's their way of getting around it, what-
Yeah, that's a penny on a dollar, right? 1%.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sorry, I don't have anything else. That's it for my report. Unless somebody has questions.
Moving committees, Jen?
Just a short discussion on our quincentennial. I met back at the end of July with Nathan and Brody, and we kind of talked about events and like where we could hold those events and locations in the park. And obviously we talked about construction, like what we would do if we had construction and where things would be placed and stuff like that. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I really don't have anything else other than just continue working on the Halloween thing. And
We did kind of mention when we were talking about the project that if we delay the bid opening and do another one again and rebid it, that the 150th will be in the height of construction as opposed to nearing the end of construction. Heads up.
well, yeah, we talked, we talked
Yeah.
about stuff like that.
Yeah, but since the bid opening discussion, if we delay that's.
Why not? Like, we just talked about the worst case
Yeah.
scenario.
a little part right here.
I mean, we just,
Davis Park.
Somewhere 151st.
I mean, we just talked about the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
We just talked about worst case scenarios and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so.
+1, we can add +1 to the end.
Oops, we forgot.
Don't want to forget.
That's all I have.
All right, Chris?
We didn't have any emergency expenditures there.
No, we did not, no.
Well, we wanted to discuss the 2024 tax levy ordinance and what amount we are considering increasing. I believe we settled on 35%.
Yes.
Which is about $20 or $25 per house, an average house. To increase the, property taxes.
A year or a month?
$400,000 for a year, yes.
Well, that's it.
How much do you pay now?
Too much. Too much.
Well, to the village,
A year.
No,
A month would be
quadruple, too much.
School
for
fire
different amenities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
School and fire district are our big ones.
No, but I don't think it's, while the percentage sounds high, the actual amount of money in our pocket is pretty low. And, you know, we could use the funds, so that's our proposal. We need all the hearing.
we do, but so there's a requirement that we have a discussion on this in advance of even putting it on the agenda at a later date and putting it out for publication because it is more than the percentage that we're allowed to.
Yeah.
So before I do all of that, we have to discuss it. So this is the discussion so that I can move on to the next step.
Move on.
Anybody have any questions?
30 is all to move on. All right, move on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that was it, I think.
Still you?
That's
Okay.
a, yeah.
Bill?
Nothing.
Parks and anybody have any parks? No, Nathan?
Does Brody have anything?
Brody?
Just the update that, Wolf is coming and cutting down the trees that we need removed for the project on this Thursday. That's about it as far as new updates. Nothing else.
No. I do have something for parks, so for mainly for Brody is I received a complaint about weeds in one of the parks. And Brody took care of that really quickly. The person also said that we had 3 people standing around doing nothing. And Brody did inform me that that was 2 of our employees and 1 person having a medical emergency out there, and they were actually assisting that person. So if you hear that rumor that
So they were
we had
just
3
standing
people
there.
standing around doing nothing, they were actually assisting somebody with a medical emergency. Thank you.
Done. Brad, you wanna talk about the truck and refresh the amount?
I can, or do we want to do the resolution first, so I can
I
just,
need the amount, I didn't.
It's in there. Here, I'll pull it up for you.
oh, sorry.
Don't say it was on the packet.
You are
It'll be Steve, isn't it?
161.
Yep.
As opposed to over 200,000.
Yeah.
Yep, 161 even.
What was budgeted?
200.
I'll make a motion for resolution 24-35, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of research order for custom trucking equipment for purchase of 2022 Chevrolet 6500 4x2 Versa lift bucket truck for Public Works in the amount of $161,000 and 0 cents.
Second.
John makes a motion to approve resolution number 24-35 in the amount of $161,000. Chris seconds. Discussion.
Yes, thank you, John. Basically, yeah, the first truck that we had found, that we just about came, luckily this was based off a phone call, and we got lucky and found this one at the very last minute. The first one was the Ford. I'm not sure if that was in the packet from Runyon. That was it, just over 200,000. We found this one. Now, obviously, this is a 22, but it's brand new 22. Warranty kicks in. If anybody's curious, warranty kicks in once we purchase the truck, if you so choose to vote yes. So anyway, the model years go a little different when you get into the bigger trucks. Like pretty much all you'll see right now is 23s and stuff. It's a little different.
Not like a car.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. Yes.
I don't care, it's brand new.
Yep, brand new. And then just so everybody understands, it says Public Works Department. This is a village-wide truck. This works for parks. This works for water. This works for sewer. This works for streets. This works for Village Hall. This is a village-wide used truck. So
But
everyone
it's
understands.
coming out of the streets.
Right. I'm not talking budget. I'm saying this truck is used everywhere in the village. So where the funds come from, Public Works, Streets Department budgeted for this truck, but it's used everywhere.
So it's used by all the
So-
village people.
That's what I
It's
just
you-
said. I go, village
Well,
people get it all.
So
Does that mean I can go drive it?
I just want everyone to understand that
Sorry.
every department in this village uses this truck. So,
You want to see the chaps.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to clarify that this is used everywhere.
Oh, lordy.
That's really about it. So we kind of got lucky and stumbled across this one.
Thanks, Cal.
And then, no problem there, partner. And the nice thing is too, we will have, just so everybody understands, we will have some, as with every new vehicle, piece of equipment, there is a bit of upfitting fees associated with that. We've got to buy new reels. We may have to buy a different type of generator, but we will still be, no matter what we purchase with this, we'll still be under the 200,000 that we. But
Color is red, white.
Right,
It's
there
what,
was a
their
photo
picture of
of
it.
I couldn't pull up.
So,
That's fine. It's facing the wrong direction.
Well, yeah,
I can
because I
figure out
could
what way
rotate
it's
it.
going.
yeah, oh, we got, we're 30,000,
There you go.
It crashes when.
Yeah, we got one.
Duramax?
Yeah, Duramax, yep.
No, my.
Remember, I've got software you can talk to.
Sandy's gonna-
So there will be stuff that we have to put on this truck, obviously.
It's not gonna equal 39,000, so.
Does it fit in the garage? It's out
It should, yes, it's actually a little bit shorter than the other one. It should.
What chassis is that on?
That's 6,500. Jim.
of, I hope it fits.
So that's it. That's it.
That's it right there. So it's-
That's all I have, Rick.
All right,
Well, how would you
we're
like to?
still in discussion. We gotta
There
get
we
a vote.
go.
We should.
Any further discussion before we vote? Roll call, please.
Chris,
A lot of money.
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
No,
John,
Yes.
Nathan is absent, Patrick.
Yes.
Motion passes 746.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. That's it, Rick.
All right.
Yes, John. Thank you.
Patrick?
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve purchase of
Nope, nope, hold up, Patrick. I know that's typically how we like to roll. This is-
never get this
Patrick, so there are exceptions to the rule occasionally. This is one of them.
Struck by the attorney.
So I'll propose some specific language to the motion, but I'll give a little bit of background first, and if I misstate something, Sandy will correct me. So this fell below the required competitive bidding threshold, so those was not obligated to competitively bid, and you didn't. You saw a couple of quotes. One quote came back complete, and another quote came back at a lower rate, but the final number is indeterminate at this point because they were waiting on a third-party part supplier to provide a number that they will then reveal to the village. Because it is time sensitive and the village does not wish to wait another 2 weeks to enter into contract, what I would propose for your consideration would be somebody making a motion, finding that both contractors are responsible, that both quotes were responsive, and pre-authorizing President Worm to enter into a contract with whomever proves to be the lowest figure when it finally comes in at an amount not to exceed 24,500. So if nobody's under 24,500, nothing would happen.
We just ratify that later.
You could, but in my view, it's,
Okay.
they'll have pre-approved and there's no, you don't have any discretion at point, whatever number is lower, that's the contract you're signing. If you wanted to do something further or it becomes more interesting, or they're tied or something weird, I would say then you'd better come back in 2 weeks or not do anything.
So the motion we need to be a motion to finding that both contracts are acceptable, both quotes have been responsive, and to pre-authorize President Worm to enter into the lowest responsible bidder not to exceed 24,500.
Let's violate.
Make a motion as set forth by Clerk Sandy Moss. That's what I need you to say.
Make a motion set forth by Village Clerk Sandy Moss.
Second.
Patrick makes a motion to approve.
Still get credit, Pat.
It's all right.
Yeah. The motion made by Clerk Sandy Moss. Who seconded over there? John seconded. I'm not gonna try to repeat that.
I wasn't either, that's why I had to write it down.
Oh, sorry. Is it?
Discussion point.
Okay, thank you. Basically what this is, this, for the most part, these are the parts, these are what we need to make the temporary filter work with basically putting water up in our tower or into our distribution system for this filter rehab project. So this is the pipe that we need. This is all the fittings that we need. This is pressure relief valves. This is basically all the stuff to connect our system to the temp filter. I shouldn't say all this, the way this project is going, there's going to be more, folks. I'm warning you now, there's going to be more. So, but this is to get us started on that, that journey of connecting the two together and trying to put water up in the tower. So,
The way I explained it to Bill was this is so we can connect the temporary filter to our
yes,
system.
Yes.
So that we can take our filter offline, so we can go in and see what it's gonna require to repair it, and hopefully not spend hundreds of thousands of dollars replacing it.
yes. More like $1 million, but yes,
Yeah. Last time I
Yes,
gave him
yeah.
that number too.
yes.
I need to add more to that motion.
Well, perhaps
Mhm.
they need to have more of that motion, but.
Yeah,
so it-
how do we do that?
So if
Amend it.
the trustee that made the motion that is subject to the discussion right now can consent to amending or move to amend his motion to.
You would like to move to amend your motion to add that it is for the parts and equipment to connect the temporary filter to the village water system for the filter project. We missed that portion in the first motion.
I already forgot what I said.
You just keep kicking it when he's down.
Sorry,
And then whoever seconded to accept that amendment to the motion.
That,
Done.
the guy sitting next to
Mark,
you.
Yes.
All right,
Mark, a question on this,
that's good enough, Mark.
even though we may, we, right now we're at what, 24,500, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's got nothing to do with the other money we may have to spend. That our superintendent doesn't know about yet, correct? In other words, they don't know what they're gonna find.
Right,
Yeah,
we're not
okay.
capping
Right.
all potential repairs
Okay.
or temporary fixes at 24.
Wouldn't that-
This particular.
Wouldn't that qualify though as an emergency expenditure? So we don't have to worry about that?
It's not an emergency.
Our
Yes, it
emergency,
is. If he does
Can I-
this,
Bill, our emergency expenditure limit is $10,000.
It's not,
This exceeds that.
And
This
it's
exceeds
not
our
anyway.
emergency expenditure
just,
limit.
just the other thing too, to put it out there, I forgot what I told Bill. And by putting the temporary filter in place, we're trying to avoid making our residents see water that looks like
Right.
Rolling Meadows.
well, this doesn't include the cost of the temporary. We've already approved that, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we,
I remember.
well, we actually put our down payment down on that to hold that because there was someone else looking at a project and we may have lost that. So we did put Brenda and Rick saying, I can't remember who it was.
We already approved that. though.
We did, and that initial payment has been given to them. So yes,
well, I want to see,
Get back onto this part.
yes.
I want to see crystal clear water, Mayor. Right? That's what I want. I don't want any other kind.
If we can repair our filter.
Okay, all right.
Any further discussion?
No, thank you.
Nothing on the left, nothing on the right. Roll call, please.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Nathan's absent, Patrick,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
This is 7:53. Anything further, Patrick?
No, that's all I got.
Just a beat it up.
I'm sorry.
Finally thought I had it down.
No, and you did, you were
You
doing
did,
a
you
great
did really
job, except for this one was a little funky, because we didn't get everything we needed.
All right, unfinished business. Anything on Verizon, the LR lease?
Oh,
or
yeah,
policy?
that's the other thing. Oh, he's not here. is he?
No,
No, I did read the email though.
All right, never mind then.
you want to, do you need anything specific on the agenda in 2 weeks?
No, it's not a matter, of it's a matter of just telling,
Yep.
responding to him, but.
Okay.
Well, where's Nathan?
He is out of town until after the
By
20th.
referring to he, we're talking LR lease.
Yes, he was,
Just-
well, except for
you
that
know.
he was the Nathan Mods that he's working with on that discussion.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, we-
trustee Mods is not here.
Yeah.
Just so we know which topic we're talking about.
20th, he is on vacation.
Oh, till the 20th.
Yes, he's on
Hey, that's
vacation.
been out there. He's in.
Perfect.
It doesn't matter, we should probably respond to
He's
it
fishing.
before then, so I'll talk to Rick. when we're done.
Yep. sounds
Okay.
like a plan.
Anything else on unfinished business?
No.
Public,
Charles? Anything?
you're public.
No.
All right.
Actually, you know what? I didn't get to draw the utility.
You know what? I saw that when he went to Mark.
This is.
Well, Mark brought pizza, you might try.
All right.
We literally just taught Charles how to do this.
And I did eat pizza, and that's almost made up. Nuggets were a pleasant story.
That's why Sandy wants the attorneys here now and the engineers. in the other
No.
meeting. We get food on both.
That's good to know.
John likes that.
I've
Have you seen him smile that big in all the time you've been here?
never gave that any thought till now. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, it's going out of control. Next, closed session.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for closed session 2C21 discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06.
Second.
John makes a motion to go into closed session under section 2C21. Patrick seconds.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Bill?
Yes.
John?
Yeah.
Nathan's absent. Patrick?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Time?
7:56.
Action.
There ain't a motion to reconvene.
Reconvene open session.
Second.
John makes a motion to reconvene open session. Patrick seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're back in open session at 8:10.
Yep.
I'll make a motion for resolution number 24-33, a resolution approving and reviewing executive session meeting minutes.
Did motion to approve
Yes.
resolution?
said.
No, you said a motion to resolution.
A motion to approve resolution number 24-33, a resolution approving and reviewing executive session meeting minutes.
I'll second that one too.
John makes a motion to approve resolution number 24-33. Patrick seconds. Any discussion on the resolution? Roll call, please.
John?
Yes.
Nathan's absent. Patrick?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Bill?
No.
Motion passes 8-11. Anything further from the board members?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait, I've got something.
All right, Bill.
I saw the county was over at the tracks on 72 there. Did we have a problem again that the motors for residents or somebody was complaining? Because the deputy was out there looking at them.
They don't call us and tell us why they're.
Not a clue.
I thought, well, that isn't the question.
Wait a
I
minute.
asked, maybe if we had something from her that we told them. Yeah, that's what
Do you have any updates, or anything like that, Brett?
No, it's the railroad, it's the sheriff, and yeah, we don't have any jurisdiction, state highway.
Then the sheriff, okay, that's what I wanted to,
Yes, not that I
Thanks.
know of. I do
Yeah,
nothing. so
thanks.
yes.
okay,
Anything else, Bill?
no.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Chris makes a motion to adjourn. Patrick seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Adjourned at 8:12.